Welcome to the Man Cove Wellbeing talk show, a show that opens up the conversation on men's mental health and empowers men with the knowledge and inner resources to heal. On each episode, we take a look at a topic, story, or health issue that features on our YouTube channel. Alongside wellness experts and practitioners, we talk all things mental and emotional health. Men's health matters, and here at MCW, we want to shine a light. You can visit www.patreon.com/MCW to find out more about how to join the MCW community. Please reach out for support, guidance, and advice from a qualified health professional. If you find anything discussed here today triggering or uncomfortable, please press the stop button and look after you. We hope you enjoy the show, and thanks for listening. Welcome to the show. I am Owen Morgan, creator of Man Cove Wellbeing, and I want to thank all our patrons for supporting us and allowing this talk show to happen. I create, produce, and edit all the videos and talk shows you see and hear. I do this alongside my life as a massage therapist and a stepdad to my awesome 4-year-old. I would love to make more content, but I can only do this with the amazing patrons that I have. This allows me way more time to edit, which is great. You can find out more at www.patreon.com/MCW. So on today's show, we welcome on John Eli, who is a virtual mindset coach based in Arizona in America. John helps men learn how to manage their lives during turbulent times. Welcome to the show, John. How are you?
I'm doing great this morning. How about you?
Yeah, not too bad. Obviously, we are battling time zone. So what time is it there at the moment?
Right now, it is 7:10 a.m. I
Wow.
chuckled a bit whenever I realized that I said that because we're totally in two separate times right now.
Yeah, definitely. It's 3:10 here over in the UK in Bath. So we both seem as lively as each other. So what is time? Doesn't mean anything. So it's fine.
Exactly.
Good stuff. Well, before we talk about what we're talking about today, just talking about men's health generally and your work as a coach and mindset and all that kind of stuff. If you want to let everybody know at home first, a little bit about yourself and what led you into coaching in the first place.
Absolutely. When I get asked questions like this, I wish that I had some kind of glorious tale of how, I was born into greatness and I just had it within me to spread joy around the world. But that's actually the opposite of what happened. I have a graduate degree in psychology, undergraduate in family and child science, and I had earned a certificate in transformational life coaching. All with the intention of fixing others because that's what I wanted to do. But in all reality, I was the person who needed fixing myself. And about 4 years ago, I face planted hard, and I found myself just in a really dark place. I was not dealing with my personal emotions, with my feelings. I did not know how to go about it. I ended up separated from my wife. And there was nothing that prepared me for this. I hadn't been handed over a script on how to navigate this season of my life. But I did turn and reach out to some very solid men. And I reached out to a counselor. I reached out to a therapist. I did the very painful work of bettering myself. And now my coaching platform is to pay it forward for the space that other men held for me.
Well, that's amazing. And I picked up on something you just said there about how we're not really taught, are we, how to deal with life when it's not going the way we want to. We have these educational systems that teach us all the stuff we need to know. But there seems to be a severe lack, especially as kids and teenagers, to learn how to understand the human experience, would you say, what anxiety is, what depression is, and how to work through it. I'm not sure what it's like over there. Is there much in the school system for that?
What I encountered is that there's, in in the educational system here in the United States is that we are taught to learn so that way we can pass exams. We are taught that we ought to learn and then circle the right box. And if we gain enough points, then we have succeeded. Everybody claps their hands and we move forward. But there really wasn't an opportunity for me to be able to grasp what I was learning and also have the experience of applying it to how my life was playing out at the moment. So I had a lot of head knowledge, but not a lot of heart knowledge.
Yeah, that's the thing. Me and my partner, who's a mindfulness teacher, we talk a lot about the sort of the human experience aspect, and we're teaching our 4-year-old, exactly what feelings are. And, from a polyvagal theory perspective as well, we're teaching him all about how different states in his body will shift and change, fight and flight, shut down, safe and social, all of these kind of states our nervous system will be in. We're trying to teach him it all now. He's absorbing it, and he knows how to tell us when he's sad and where in the body it is. And it would just be so amazing if on a school level, they were able to, as part of, assemblies, as we call them over here, that they might be able to do, 3-minute breathing space meditation or something, just something to get kids into their bodies and understanding how they're feeling at any moment. I mean, it'd be so powerful. Like you said, so we don't get to adulthood like you were and like I've been, where we didn't know what to do with what we were feeling. It's tough. And we don't even know who to reach out to, do we? I mean, did you have an idea of who to reach out to from a therapy perspective, or did you just go down the traditional, they say to do this, or did you kind of have an inkling of what you needed?
Well, to be quite honest, it took me a moment to find a therapist to work with. But what I did is the day that my wife and I separated, I had to make a decision in that moment. I knew that I could continue on just living life the way that I had been living, and it wasn't working for me. Or I could just come clean and just own where I was at in my life. And something I'm going to throw in the mix here that perhaps you might not have known of me, Owen, is that I'm a former clergyman. So there's this societal expectation that I would be the moral compass for everyone, for my social circle. But what I did was I called up about 8 of my male friends, and I just told them everything that they didn't know about me. And through that experience of sharing what I was going through, I had some people choose to walk away from me, but I had some people that stood beside me and just became like an anchor. They became a place where I could rest, and they helped walk me through finding the help that I needed. Not so much, it wasn't a codependent relationship, but they provided the encouragement and the accountability, even just picking up the phone, like, hey, did you do it already? Did you make the phone call? Yeah. Who did you find? Things like that. I needed that support during that season of my life. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to move forward.
It just, right there shows you the power of, connection, community, co-regulation. But like you said, being guided and supported rather than told, I think you should do this, and, having interventions like they do a lot for addictions and stuff. It's, supporting the loved ones and your friends along the way so they can empower themselves through choice.
Absolutely.
And resources. Absolutely. And things. Well, it sounds like you've been on quite a journey and got to where you are, and this is why I love the circles that I hang out with. They're just really, really amazing people, and all of us have the opportunity to do this, I'm sure, which is why we do what we do, to do exactly what you're talking about. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. So it's a bit of a buzzword. People talk a lot about mindset. That word keeps coming up everywhere, all over social media. So we're going to sort of get into it a little bit more from your perspective. So you say about mindset coaching. From your perspective, what is that? What does it look like when you're working with men? And why is mindset kind of so important to our personal development, should we say?
Yeah, absolutely. And what I guess what I'll do is I'll talk a bit about my approach to mindset coaching. And I know that there's a movement that really is is based on the cognitive approach to mindset, where we are addressing the thoughts that create behaviors and using the mind to create change. And the approach that I use is both somatic and cognitive. You mentioned polyvagal theory, and I am a huge fan of that. I believe that there is no moment in life where we as human beings are disconnected from the way that we are feeling somatically in our bodies, as well as with our cognitive connection. So I really try to tap into what is taking place both cognitively and physiologically to help men build the emotional capacity that they need to have the life that they desire to have.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you mentioned somatic in there too, and that sort of combination, the whole holistic approach, and how much our body plays a part in our thoughts, and likewise the other way around too. But it's seeing that in the cheesiest way possible, the whole person behind that. Because over here in the UK, they really push counselling and cognitive behavioural therapy over here, especially through our free healthcare system, which is great. We're so lucky to have that here. But they don't do much about the body over here in our medical system, which is why I think our alternative medicine and complementary health seems so big here, because we're trying to fill that void of the body too. And do you find that sort of the men you work with, you obviously use a combination of all of those? Do people tend to resonate with all of it, or do certain people resonate more with the brain stuff, should we say?
People in general are really stuck in their heads. And I know I was for the longest time. And to give you a little bit more background where I come from is I live, Arizona is very close to the border of Mexico. So there's a lot of Latin influence here. And I'm actually third generation Mexican American living here in the United States. But there is a script that is handed to the Latino, the Latin American male, that we are not to express emotion. You can express rage whenever you are righteously defending, someone or defending what is yours. But whenever it comes to experiencing sadness, fear, and shame, you just don't talk about it. So a lot of the men that I end up providing this service for or end up in communication with, they have no script. This is completely new to them. They might completely freak out during our first few sessions, but it becomes so healing whenever they realize that they have permission to feel, and there's nothing wrong with feeling.
No, definitely not. And like you said, they probably never had the opportunity to feel into their body or, be reflective on their own experience. We get so stuck, don't we? And we don't become observers with kindness, of course, looking on in. And I guess if they've never been shown that, why would they think any different? I guess why these sessions that you must have must be so powerful. Because they're like, wow, okay, I've never been in an environment where I was told to shut down or hide this stuff. So I'm very blessed. But it didn't mean I didn't have mental health problems. I still did. But I was in the right environment. But I can imagine in certain populations and cultures and neighborhoods, wow, I mean, there must be a lot of pride-based stuff there too. Like, to be a proud man, you've got to look after your family, do them proud, do yourself proud, be the man of the house. When these days it's a lot more collaborative these days. Every part of the family is part of how they have a good life and how we can live well. So is that kind of like, is it only ever been men? So you've never worked with women. This is purely like a man thing that you do, or do you do a bit of both?
So actually, I get phone calls and requests for both. And I love working with women. And I just enjoy helping humans improve their human experience. However, I have a passion to help men. And that partially comes from my experience that I didn't have a place in my life to go to whenever it all came crumbling down. I had to make that risk of reaching out and perhaps losing friendships, perhaps destroying my reputation confronting my pride.
Yeah.
But I w- what I desire to do is to create a space that men know is available to them, having them feel just left out in the cold. They're not alone.
That's really nice. Creating a space comes up a lot on our shows. It's such a good term. And yeah, you need to just create that so they're aware of it anyway. You don't want to force it when the time is right, but it's just carrying on the good work and knowing that, these guys will come along and when they're ready to do that. And I guess it's speaking their language, I suppose, as well, isn't it? The way they see the world, the way their thoughts work is getting to know that element of them so you can work with them a little bit more. Because we create sort of values and beliefs, don't we, off how our brain's constantly going and thinking about stuff. And they may not necessarily be true or factual or useful even. So I guess with the mindset side of what you're doing, is it getting them to kind of question the way they think things are and using sort of techniques and patterns to help them with that?
Yeah, well, what I do is I take them through a process that I address four things with them. I address identity, their vision, their beliefs, and their practices. And what I usually encounter is men who perhaps made a bad choice in life, and they've taken on that choice as their identity. And so they've lost a sense of who they really are or what they have the potential of becoming. And maybe it isn't even a choice that they made, but it might be a choice that was made by someone else and that it ended up affecting them. And so instead of labeling that circumstance as an event, they take it on as, hey, this is who I am. I am a divorce. I am failure. I am abuse. I am an addiction. I am unworthy of love. So my process takes men through really rediscovering their authentic self, learning self-worth, giving them a place and permission to dream beyond their current circumstance, then developing the mindset, the beliefs, identifying the beliefs that they will need to have to move forward, and then also the practices that they'll need to have in place in order to create resiliency as they move forward in life.
That's really important. Yeah, really powerful. I like what you said there about how we can take it on, decisions we make and the patterns of behaviors we feel are unhelpful. We take them on as who we are. People often say, I've always had this, or I've always been this way, or I have this personality type, for instance. When these are belief systems that they've enforced probably just to justify what they think may be true. And it's so easy to get lost, isn't it, sometimes, especially if you're surrounded by the wrong kind of people, maybe not with the same values as well. So it's quite a complex situation, of course. This isn't black and white what we're talking about here. And like I said, because I've heard mindset around a lot, this is why it was so important to chat with you today more about it, because that combination of, for people who don't know about it, sort of the bottom up, top down process. So, how your body can influence what you're thinking, and likewise the other way around, how if you can change, I don't like to use the word change, but working with the way your thoughts are and how you feel about yourself, how that does affect your body in the long term. And that conversation that you have, we're so disconnected, aren't we, from the whole of ourselves and the pressure of life and social media. And hey, look, right now it's part of the pandemic era of 2020. So it's a whole different world right now that we're having to deal with. So I can imagine at the moment with the pandemic and stuff, from a mindset perspective, we talked off recording, didn't we, at the beginning, how you and me have approached, the current situation, lockdown, isolation. So I presume mindset's a big part of that. And is that something that we can shift and change over time by ourselves, and sort of work through old patterns bit by bit rather than trying to do it straight away?
I believe so. I believe, well, I guess an analogy that I can give is, because I love art. I love to see sculptures. I especially appreciate sculptures. I love paintings and photography, but there's just something about a piece of art made of stone or marble that whenever that object was first presented to the artist, it was formless. It was nothingness, but yet they had the ability to chip away and to create this masterpiece that someone like myself, who doesn't have an artistic, mindset, would never been aware that piece of art was within that heap of stone or rock or marble, whatever was placed before them. And I believe that our lives can be just like that. There's this beautiful person that is in there, but yet there's all these beliefs, scripts, narratives that we've created that keep us and this world from experiencing the beauty of the real us. And so I definitely believe that we can be shaped, that we can be formed, but it takes intentionality. It takes the want to.
Yeah, intention is such a big word. We're using all the buzzwords today because intention is another fantastic one, because, the word intention can be used in different circles of well-being, but that intention is just so utterly powerful, and being compassionate around it too. Because if you have the intention to say, do something every day that's going to better your self-care, but you miss a day, that's okay. Be compassionate about it, but always have the intention to want to do it, to rebuild and reset. And from the experience you have and all the courses you've done, it made me think a bit about neuroplasticity as well, and our ability to change. I don't know enough about it to use the right words, but changing the makeup of our brain and it being, is it maladaptive? Is that the right word? So it can be adapted over time. Is that right with neuroplasticity?
I do believe that, that we have the opportunity to be able to change our mindset, to change our views. I feel that sometimes evolving is an overused word, but I don't know any other way that we can describe ourselves, is that we as human beings have the ability to build whatever resiliency we need in any given moment of life. But it's up to us to be aware of it, and it's up to us to do the work to make it happen.
Yeah, another good one there, awareness. Being aware of, just be aware of everything, aware of patterns, behaviors, if there is slight addictive behaviors too, being aware of that, just always checking in. I always like to check in with myself, see what's going on in my body, what's happening with my thoughts, and just be a friend to myself, really, with that kind of loving awareness. Obviously, my mindfulness teacher partner helps with some of this knowledge, but I wanted this, the whole movement of Man Cove Wellbeing, the whole point of having you on today is to get guys with guys, helping guys understand ways to understand themselves better. And as we sort of flow through this conversation, we're going to be looking at advice for men listening who are feeling beaten down, struggling mentally, because we know that co-regulation and community and connection is really important. Therapeutic relationships are important too. And we do encourage people to reach out for support if they can. Not everybody's ready. Some people have shame about that. And I want to make sure that we empower men with a few self-regulation things that they can do to help themselves a little bit, so they can be in a better place to reach out for help. That's my big mission. So from the years you've been doing this and who you've been working with, what would be some of your kind of advice, tips for guys who are struggling right now, to start to change a few things?
Absolutely. We're living in an age where it's uncharted territory. We have never, in our lifetime, we have not experienced a pandemic of this proportion. And so it's stirring up all sorts of emotions. People are being affected, economically, their finances. People are losing loved ones. People are living out of fear. We're having to protect ourselves in ways that we never have before. So it's creating all sorts of levels of stress and triggering all sorts of emotions. The best advice that I can give to men is to allow yourself to feel whatever feeling you need to feel in any given moment. Have that understanding that feelings are not our enemies. Feelings are actually a biological response to any external stimulus. So give yourself that space. There's 5 steps that I lead men through whenever it comes to navigating through emotions, and that's breathe. first thing to do is, if you feel yourself overwhelmed with an emotion, give yourself an opportunity to breathe. Next, place a name to the emotion. You know, name what you're feeling. Whenever you are able to put a name to an unknown enemy, it kind of disempowers that enemy. It lowers down the notch of anxiety or fear that you might be experiencing. So name what you're feeling. Is it sadness? Is it anger? Is it shame? Are you feeling joy in the moment? Don't forget also the joyful moments that we can have. Then describe it. Where are you feeling it in your body? Where are you sensing it? What does it feel like? Is it in your chest? Is it in your stomach? Is it in your throat? And then listen to it. Ask yourself, if this emotion could give me a message here in this moment, what would it tell me? And then only after you've done all those four, then choose how you will respond to it.
Yeah, it's so powerful. And the naming it is, another classic we've heard many a time. And it loses its power, doesn't it? When you start to interact with these things, they lose a bit of their power rather than you just being in it. And because I guess sometimes if you're not doing that and you're just in the feeling and you're not reflecting on it, that's when you're likely to start to make bad decisions and overeat and maybe drink, and even stuff like over-exercising, all these addictive behaviors that we use to run away from, or if we're really numb, try and engage in something that makes us feel anything because we're already numb. That's not a healthy relationship. It's like you said, all those things you just said are such a clever way of doing that. And I find with anxiety, sometimes people often say, I am anxiety, or I'm having anxiety. And a lot of people say, if you say that I'm doing anxiety is here at the moment. That's okay. It's in here. I'm doing anxiety at the moment. There's different ways you can describe it to allow it to lose a bit of power over us, which I find really, really helpful. Which is amazing. So thanks so much. This is awesome stuff already. And I just, want the guys out there to know that, the old, it's okay to not be okay classic. It's another cheesy line.
Absolutely.
It's okay to not be okay. And even though it may feel uncomfortable, the hardest part, isn't it, is feeling safe enough to be with the emotion that you're having. So have you got any advice for people who just find it quite difficult to sit with their feeling? I know you've said some of the stuff already, but if people are really struggling to be with their sadness and they really want to distract themselves, what's a safe way to kind of be with it?
I believe, especially for us men, a lot of us men we're either all in or we're not in at all. So I see that like men, we like to tackle different challenges in life. And so if we are I see a lot of men who are learning how to experience feelings for the first time and they want to jump all in. But if it's uncharted territory, give yourself the grace to only, I'm going to feel fear for 30 seconds. And that's all. If 30 seconds is all you can handle with fear for the moment, then so be it. But give yourself the opportunity to begin to experience it, whether it be fear, whether it be sadness, whether it be shame, whether it be anger, and just dip into it a little bit of time until you are able to spend a longer amount of time in that feeling. And do that without judgment. Know that you're learning something new.
So, thank you. It's so important. The judgment thing is, it's not judging yourself for any experience really that you're having. You're having that experience, loving kindness towards it. And, I some things you said there about dipping in and out, that's such a good way to stay safe, isn't it? Just feel into it a little bit and then pull out if you need to. I find that with meditation, if people do meditation, and they'll say, come into your body and sense somewhere that's safe. So you have an anchor point, maybe it's your hands, your feet, your belly, and use that as your anchor. So then if you are starting to do your meditation, you start to feel a little bit anxious, you come back to your safe space in your body. And I guess that can apply to life as well, and the way we think too. And from a polyvagal perspective, like you mentioned there, another way to look at that is kind of like reflect on how often do you feel safe in your day-to-day, safe and social. How often do you feel fight and flight? So, do you feel edgy, like you need to run away, or feel like aggressive, or shut down, like you don't want to do anything at all? It's like, what can you do in that moment to gain some safe and social for your nervous system. What makes you feel good, safe, protected in a healthy manner, obviously. Trying to do any substance abuse, but we're talking more silly stuff. Like for me, just to share, if I'm a little bit down the ladder in polyvagal terms, a bit fight and flight, maybe a bit shut down, for most people it's music. So just put on, I love kind of like chill disco deep house. So it's not too intense, but it's got a good disco rhythm and a bit of a beat. Put that on, straight up the nervous system ladder, starting to feel good. And it really allows me to shape my biology a little bit, If I do a little bit of that every day, I guess over time it will get more part of my biology rather than something I'm trying to activate. So it sounds like that's another way of explaining what you're talking about. And yeah, I mean, what else around kind of what we're talking about do you think might be useful? I realize that I'm losing my way with the excitement of what you're saying, so I'm gonna let you get us back on track.
No, there's two things that I had a train of thought and then I got lost in your words right now. But you mentioned music, and I'm just going to throw this in really quick. Then I have a comment on something that you said. But in order to co-regulate with others, I miss having human connection, be it in the workplace. But one of the things that I did is I reached out to my Instagram followers and I asked for them to recommend a song for a COVID quarantine mood booster playlist. And so I created this beautiful playlist by recommendations of my followers. And one of the things that it has done for me is that now I have mentally connected a specific song with specific followers that I interact with on a regular basis. So whenever I'm feeling down, I put on that mood booster playlist and I feel as if I am present with that person in the physical sense. And I feel less alone. I feel more regulated. And so whenever I am feeling like as if I'm going down the ladder and becoming dorsal, it's a quick pick me up. I'm here. They are present with me. This is the song that they recommended. And it creates a different space for myself.
That's such a powerful way to look at connection too, and community, in these times where I said, you said there's association with something that's linked to connection on some level, be it in person or not. I love that. I never even thought about that. Such a clever way to sort of bring that into your awareness in any moment. We have those things that we remember, don't we, from our history. We listen to it. It reminds us of a special time with some friends at work or whatever. And that in itself is really helpful to our being, really, to our nervous system, because it takes you back to those places, the power of visualization, all of that kind of stuff too. And I know you saw, we've just literally done a video called a woodland sort of journey relaxation. So for those that can't get out right now, with the combination of my friend Steve's voice and going through the woods and explaining the sounds and the senses and all this kind of stuff, put that with visuals of the forest, people can watch that and really feel transported there, and that will have a biological positive impact on them. So it's never for introverts even. It's not. There's still ways to feel connected to nature and people. The next best thing to the real life stuff. It's amazing. Do you do much visualization with your clients? Is that part of your thing or not so much?
I don't. That's one of the things that I feel that's an area of growth for myself. I love visualizations and I love different types of guided meditations, and I use them often, but it is not anything that I have delved into to providing that space for others. And it's an opportunity for growth for myself right now during this season.
Yeah, well, I think we should, the best thing to do is to own the space that we create. We have that space for a reason. Everyone works differently. As a massage therapist, I work quite differently. I'm very mind-body connection based on my massage, which is unusual. So I try to make sure my clients feel really, really safe on all levels when they walk into my clinic space, and they go out floating because I created somewhere that they could get away in and they trust me. That's the key. Especially with massage, it's really, really important. It's amazing. So for you, we're in 2020 now. I remember when I was a kid in the 90s, men's health was kind of I wouldn't say non-existent, but it wasn't great as a sort of a movement. I mean, where do you think we are right now? I feel like we've taken a load of big strides in the last few years around this. Do you think we're getting somewhere now on this men's health movement?
I absolutely believe that there has been a tremendous amount of growth and awareness, especially whenever it comes to emotional wellness, when it comes to men's emotional wellness. And I really believe that we're on the brink of just breaking that stigma whenever it comes to people feeling uncomfortable talking about men and mental health. And I really believe that this new era that is being ushered in by this pandemic is going to be, it's going to be one of the good things that comes out of this crisis. One of the things that I'm running into, just gosh, it's in almost every conversation that I have with men, is just how they are so aware of the activities that they have been involved in that are meaningless. And so you have these men that are now questioning where they have invested their time, where they have invested their energy. And they are experiencing sadness, they're experiencing grief, they're experiencing anger. And so all of these men are going to need help, they're going to need guidance. And I believe that it's going to be the norm for men to reach out to various practitioners, whether, it's counseling, whether it's coaching, whether it's mindfulness practices, massage therapy. There's going to be a lot of men in need of help.
Definitely. And it's just wanting the audience right now to understand that there's no shame in any of this. We've all been through our struggles, and just reach out to other guys. We're about to partner up with an amazing group called Men Speak here in England, where they do online and in-person groups. So they all hang out, have a laugh, talk about their stuff, what's going on for them, and it's such a safe, awesome, manly / emotional space, and it's perfect. And you just need to find your way of processing what you're going through, your tribe. It could just be one-to-one therapy you want, but sometimes these groups are super powerful too. And the whole point that we're here today doing things like this and the videos that I put out is to empower men with resources and skills that they can use to help themselves. And it just, from what you were talking about there, just made me think so much about how there'll be a mate of yours that you're probably like, I can't tell him about this. You tell him, he goes, oh, thank God. I've been waiting for you to tell me this the whole time. But you've never had the conversation. And he is like so happy that you finally shared what you're going through, like you had with some of your friends. It's so powerful. We probably don't realize how many people are actually there for us, really, if we actually look.
That was my experience. But there's something that you said I want to circle back to. You used two words that, to me, whenever you said them, they hit me right here in my heart, because they're such a part of my reality. You use the word grace and giving ourselves grace. And also you talked about how we have to learn to be a friend to ourselves. And those things are huge. And the word grace is even more impactful for me. I grew up not liking my name. And my first name is John Eli. A lot of people think Eli is my last name, but my first name is John Eli. And for years, I just went by the name of just John. I didn't embrace Eli at all. And I asked my mom, why did you give me two first names for my first name? But I realized that through the season of darkness that I went through, the name John actually means God is gracious. And for me, and Eli means ascension. But for me, the only way I was able to get to the emotional and mental space to be able to live life to its fullest is that I had to demonstrate myself grace. And the only way that I could ascend to the next level was through a pathway of grace. As a former clergyman, one of the biggest tenets of my faith that I try to live out and to help others with is to love my neighbor as myself. And I worked so hard to demonstrate love to others, but it's so hard to demonstrate to love your neighbor as yourself whenever you don't love yourself. So I believe that giving grace to yourself and being a friend to yourself, just the way that you would hold space and love a friend that has experienced failure in their life. We have to be open to demonstrate that same gift of grace and friendship to ourselves. After all, we are human. We do make mistakes. I've yet to meet a perfect person. I think that's the path to growth, is grace, love, friendship.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, self-compassion is like the word that I often use for it, self-compassion, just because no matter what I do, I just need to bring myself some self-compassion. I always like to say to people, like, right now, you're doing the best you can with the tools you have and however you're feeling in this moment. We're always doing the best we can. Our body always looks after us primarily. You know, it's always there to kick in when we need it to. You know, if you're about to be hit by a car, your body will move you. It doesn't involve your brain in any way. Just get out of the way. So just have faith that your body is there to protect you. And if you can befriend your body and sort of tap into it more, it really, really helps us kind of create shifts, doesn't it? And I have to say, like, all the therapy I've had hypnotherapy, NLP, loads of NLP stuff, mindfulness, all that kind of thing. But it wasn't until I understood to relate to my body and my mind using polyvagal theory and a combination of mindfulness, I was able to just at least have an idea of what was going on so I could start to rebuild from there. That awareness was it for me. That was like the final piece. Cool. No matter how I feel, good, bad, or whatever, that awareness is the power to everything, because I can have any of those feelings if they're there, they're there. But I know myself well enough to know how best to return to a safe space in myself and with others. And something you mentioned earlier, I really want to make sure we mention before you go, because it slipped out of my mind, and that's back, was roles, and how this pandemic at the moment is really questioning all the different versions of us that we can get stuck in. So the dad role, the career guy role, friends, we tend to start to act differently in those different communities. So right now we've lost all of those and we just have us in the house role, or the people we're with, our loved ones. I think we get a chance here to reflect on all the different versions of ourselves we seem to have manifested through survival and fitting in and all that stuff. And that's something that I've noticed on my journey now. You know, I'm a massage therapist, I'm a stepdad, I'm this and that, I'm an editor, I'm a presenter. But I'm all right. It's all right if I feel a bit shit sometimes, feel a little bit low, a little bit down. It doesn't affect any of my roles, but what my next mission now is to try and integrate all those roles and just be one congruent me. I know what my values are. I know what I believe in that's not influenced by others, and kind of standing up for my own greatness, not in an aggressive way or anything like that, just tapping into your own greatness. And that is great language for blokes, that kind of, yeah, I'm my own great superhero for myself, and it's good language for guys. Anyway, I went off on a tangent there.
No, that's beautiful, and I just can't help but think, because I can see you right now. We're on Zoom, and I can see you. I know the audience can't see you, but just the way that your face lit up in that moment, talking about that, I could just see so much liberation in you, and I don't know if it might not be a language that men are used to speaking with each other, but just seeing that was absolutely beautiful.
Thank you. And it's empowerment, you know, that self-empowerment has allowed me to feel powerful within myself. And I want to allow men to understand that. I still have trauma stuff that I'm dealing with. I'm currently having coaching at the moment. You know, it's not about getting to the end or completing anything. Something bad could happen to me tomorrow and create a new trauma. But my job is to resource myself to be able to sit and be resilient with the next trauma. There's no such thing as healing and getting there. Right, I've done it, I'm healed. Because something else could happen to you, and you need to be able to hold it and process it. If we can't process it, it's going to affect our behaviors and patterns. So I want guys to know that I might sound like, hey, this guy doing chat shows and this, and he's doing really well. Yeah, I am doing well because I'm able to relate to my pain and my joy at the same time. And I know I still have trauma stuff to deal with, and I do have triggers. Things trigger me down the ladder and I feel really crap. But I know about it, and that's power enough for me to go, okay, it's here. That's interesting. Wonder why that's happened to me. Boom. I've got kind of that beautiful relationship. And that's a good starting point, I think, for everyone listening to go, oh, wow, okay. Isn't that interesting that I triggered why did I get triggered by that? Start that conversation going. Really, it's really, really powerful. So anyway, I feel like I'm hijacking this with excitement. So we're coming towards the end of what we're talking about here today. So is there any kind of final message you want to give our listeners in regards to mental health, emotional well-being? What would be your epic finale?
Just be. Just allow yourself to be. Allow yourself to feel. And I think that just the driving message that I'm sharing in this day and age, and I might sound like a scratched record, but I just want to be able to create that dialogue with men that, you're not your emotions. Your emotions are there as your friend to guide you. And don't be scared of them. Embrace them. And you have permission to feel anything that you need to feel during this season of life and moving forward.
Yeah, thank you. It's so powerful. So what's next for you, my friend? What's life look like when the pandemic ends? Have you got a big vision and goal, much of the same? Have you got like big dreams ahead of you?
Yeah, so I'm actually a positive psychology, choice theory, and polyvagal theory junkie. So I'm always cramming my head. I'm still I still have that addiction to knowledge, and what I'm trying to do is, and which I'm currently creating, is a series of master classes that I want to have available to my followers, and maybe have a master class platform that is given once a month. And my goal is to start in June. So I already have a series created, and I'm looking to build on that. I'm excited. I have people that are already communicating with me and excited about the opportunity to be able to attend those master classes. And ultimately, I just want to empower men to be, to live a life of meaning and purpose on their own terms. So I'm looking forward to see what comes out of this.
That's amazing. And I love the idea of masterclasses. I think that's where a lot of this wellness stuff is going now, isn't it? Like doing courses for personal development and, downloading packs of stuff, apps now, live tutorials. That seems to be where it's going, isn't it? Accessibility to all that way, because it's not cheap to go and get, one-to-one support. So it's such a beautiful way to make it accessible, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Brilliant. Well, we're going to put links and stuff to, your website and your social media at the bottom of this video anyway, so people can see that. I just want to thank you so much for coming on. It's been so fascinating, and I really hope it helps those listening. So how best is it for people to get hold of you? I know we're going to put links, but if you say it too. So you seem to have, you're doing really well on Instagram. It seems to be really, really thriving for you on there.
Well, yeah, so you can find me at Instagram at the.john.eli, and John is John. There is an H in my name. And also my website at john-eli.com.
Awesome. Thanks, mate. And we'll put all the links in. And guys, check out the masterclasses when they hit in June. It's going to be absolutely awesome. So I want to thank you so much again, John, for coming on. I'm sure we'll have you on again talking various stuff. It'd be great to get you on our talk show, actually, with me, Steve, and Daryl. I think we could have a good time, us four, just talking manly wellness. So thank you so much. I'm just going to finish off the show for everybody. So I just want to thank all of our patrons for their support today, for supporting us in the long run. So that's Mike Morgan, Maggie Palmer, Roland Chesters, Hannah Irvine, Karen Goodson, and of course, Stephen Truelove and Darren Osborne, who are my co-hosts on the chat show. And we have a brand new patron, Emerald McLeod, who was on our addiction talk show. She's absolutely amazing. She's actually in no, hang on. Is she California? I've interviewed a lot of people this week. I've interviewed 2 other people from Arizona this week. There must be a big following up there for wellness, it seems. So thank you, everybody, for supporting us. It's great. It really allows me to do more editing, because that money does allow me less time having to frantically use my other projects to raise funds. So thank you. Amazing. Thanks for listening. Check out all our talk shows on our YouTube channel and other podcast providers. This included is available on Spotify, Apple, and all the usual podcasts, including our new show coming up, My Trauma, Your Trauma. It's a whole chat show about trauma. It's going to be absolutely immense. John, we should get you on that too. So thank you, John. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Stay safe, stay home, and support your friends online in a time where we do need to stay connected, everyone. So reach out to your friends. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.